Yo, what's up, everybody? It's another episode of the Real Chat Podcast with your boy Justin Jackson. I got my man Matt Traver from all the way in Pennsylvania. You know what I'm saying? How you doing, brother?
Good, man. Good morning, dude. Thanks for taking the time and having the patience so we can finally get this done, dude. Because it's been like it's been a tricky dick trying to get our schedules to collide. But that means we're doing things. You know what I'm saying? Like that means we're out here. You know what I mean? Trying
Staying
to
busy.
yeah,
Staying
bro. And
busy.
idle hands is the devil's playground or whatever the expression is. But yeah, dude, I've been like we were just talking about though. Like I see why they tell you to do the work in the school thing in your early 20s, dude, because I'm 45, bro, and like it hits different now. You know what I mean? I remember when I could stay up even without drugs and shit. Like I could just stay up for 2 days and like get an hour of sleep here and there, and I could just go. But like all this stuff's like catching up to me now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like yeah,
Hey, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it every day. I think because you work third shift too, right? So
I
you
work
so
like yeah, I work from anywhere. Like I can work from 8 a.m. till 2 p.m. Doing my peer support stuff, and
mhm.
then I work from 3 to 1 at another place. Yeah,
Okay,
so
okay.
yeah,
So
man.
so
So
tell me what that so what does the peer support look like? Like what is it that you do in a peer support community?
I basically just go to like people's houses and then we're supposed to help them with a wellness and recovery action plan. It's called a RAP plan or whatever, and we
Yep,
try to
yep.
figure out and we tailor make it to their needs, like things they want to get done, and it's different than recovery coaching because we're not trying to tell them, we hear what they say and then we try to implement things that they could do based on their preferences. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then like I really just, I go there and they have issues, we talk, I listen, or they talk, I listen. I give them feedback, I give them constructive, criticism or whatever you want to call that, and I just, yeah, man. But
Pretty
basically,
much in a nice way, tell them to shit or get off the pot.
yeah, no, yeah, man. It's tricky, dude,
Yep.
because I did recovery coaching for like a year. Well, I didn't really do it, but I took the course and got certified there, and it's a totally different thing, because I kind of thought
Mhm.
they were similar, but and then there's so many things that you can do in peer support that you can't do with recovery coaching and vice versa.
Yes. Yeah, they
Like
both they work together, but at the same time, they're totally different. And it took
yeah,
me a little bit to realize that too, as I went because I took the CPS training first. So I
yeah,
went through the CPS training first, and then I was like, "Oh man, I want to get my recovery coaching," and then a guy
mhm,
told me he was like, "Yeah, don't do that, man." He was like, "Because then you're going backwards." You know what I mean? He
yeah,
was like, "Just stay with what you're doing," and so I stuck with that, so
yeah.
but yeah,
That's,
man, I feel you on that, man. So other than that, like tell me a little bit about, how you started with all this. Like how'd you get into, peer support?
well, like we can rewind the tape like 20 years ago. I was like full blown active addiction. You know what I mean? Heroin, meth every day, going through the needle every day. You know what I mean? And it just then a series of arrests. And the things I got arrested for compared to what I was doing, like was like a
Mhm.
slap on the wrist. It was like it was crazy. They would always pull me over on the way to pick up, big quantities of drugs and shit.
Wow.
Never
Yeah.
on the way back,
Not on the way.
yeah, like I remember one time I told a cop, dude, I'm like, yeah, you're about an hour too early or something. He's like, what'd you say? But I but yeah, man. And then yeah, so just to condense this version, I had my trials and tribulations with active addiction. I was homeless, strung out, for the better part of 20 years, and I was homeless for about the last three of my active addiction, and then I got arrested with a couple of prescription pills, some dirty needles. Again, these things, these very minimal things, but because I had all this extensive stuff on my record, they wanted to give me like 6 years in prison. And I'm like, for a
Oh,
couple
wow.
of pills and things like that. But like I had a meth lab, like in Jefferson County, Wisconsin. I
Oh,
was
wow.
charged with the first fully functioning meth lab in Jefferson County's history.
Wow, and
And
that's pretty small. That's a small town, ain't it? Because I
yeah,
think I
dude.
think my niece lives out there, so, like, we
Yeah,
we go
dude.
out
Yeah.
there, and I'm like, "Man, it ain't nothing out here
Yeah, there's nothing out there, dude, except for like bars and like
except for
it's right
back in the
outside of
day,
called
it was Mac."
Watertown. Yeah, it's so yeah, like we got caught pretty quick. You know what I mean? Because all of a sudden there wasn't meth in the whole town. Then all of a sudden it was everywhere, and then they started arresting
Right.
people. But by the grace of God, dude, like, because my first offer after they caught me or whatever was it was 18 years in, 18 years out, and
Wow.
um, the detectives that were doing the case and building the case against me at this time, they all got in trouble for like embezzling funds, and like, when they would raid someone's house, they would keep some of the
Yep. They
money,
would keep the money.
so like,
Yeah.
yeah, so everything that they had on me that was like involved in like searches and seizures and things like that was all thrown out. The only thing I had to plead out to was buying my own Sudafed and too much of it. So I went from 18 years in, 18 years out to a year in county jail, dude. Like,
Man.
dude, when the judge sentenced me, she looked at the detectives and was like, it makes me sick to my stomach that I can only sentence Mr. Traver to 1 year in jail today. You guys should be ashamed of yourselves. And the whole time I'm like, bang your gavel, man, bang it, bang it.
I love it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is what you're thinking. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, this is I mean, man, that's you know what? It's crazy that you said that like that because our stories are so similar. On is that one of the stories that actually like changed your life? Is that one of the situations that got you to start to wake up a little bit?
No, absolutely not. Like,
No?
and I'm just being honest, dude, because like it got to the point where I felt like, how they call John Gotti, like the Teflon Don or whatever,
Yep.
because
Yep.
like I never, like I said, I would always get, pulled over, arrested on the way to score, like, quarter keys, half keys and shit, never on the way back. So I just thought I was like, if anything, it fed my spiritually sick ego. I'm
Yes.
really good at this. You know what I mean? Like, yeah,
Right.
I'm
Right.
unbelievable. And then, like, so I did 5 months. Because I went in there, I got Huber, I got a trustee job, and then I was the janitor at night, and I worked my year sentence down because it goes to 9 months automatically, and then I worked another 3, so I was out in 5 months for a meth lab. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
wow.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and the day they let me out, the day they let me out was the next. That was the first time. The day after that was the first time I ever shot up anything.
Wow.
Because I was in county jail, and I'm like, for 5 months, bro. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna be so high when I get out of here.
Wow.
And we went and scored some heroin, dude. And I remember I did a nice, a nice size rail, and it didn't really do anything. And I've been obsessing about it for the better part of 6 months,
Right.
So I'm like, oh, this is bullshit. And then the guy that I bought it from, he's like, well, here, man, just try it like this one time. And
Man.
that was it. That was all she wrote. Ever since that, like, like the very next day I went to the needle exchange. I was like, it's like I was going to, like the grocery store. I'm like, I don't know how it works. What do I do? But like,
Right.
I was
Right. You're asking
home.
questions along the way, and they got help.
Yeah, dude. And then, somehow, some way, man, I transferred my paper to Illinois because I was, bouncing around and I was homeless. So I just moved in with my mom, and I was still heavily on, heroin and doing whatever I could, cocaine from time to time and shit. And I made it through probation. Couldn't tell you how. I showed up there high all the time. I even popped dirty, whatever. And I just remember like, and at this point, I'm like robbing and ripping everybody off, because I'm a full-blown heroin addict. And I had visited a friend of mine in Green Bay. His name's Keisa Hicks, dude. We go way back, and he was up, and he was like the dude who used to sell like dime bags out of his baby mama's parents' house and shit, But then I went and saw him in Green Bay, dude. He had a house, he had a car, he was barbecuing steaks and shit. You know what I mean? He was living good, bro. And I'm like, well, if he can do it, I'm gonna come fuck with Green Bay, dude. So, we we hit a couple licks, dude, and me and the girl I was with at the time just headed to Green Bay. And I really thought I got away with everything, but like I wasn't in Green Bay too long before karma caught up with me. You know what I mean? Like, I remember I actually drove like from, through Milwaukee, and then right when I got from, where Manitowoc County, Brown County meet, it says welcome to Green Bay or whatever. We ran over like a board with nails in it, and I got 2 flat tires, dude. And I was like, this is a sign we should probably turn around. And but like I didn't look at it like
Karma
that.
is
But
truly a bitch.
Yeah, I just ripped somebody off like on my way out of town, and I'm like, oh yeah, I had a big bag of whatever, and I was just like, yeah, man, we're gonna be good. And then, and I was doing good when I got to Green Bay, bro. Like for a little bit, I got a job, I got a place, I started paying my child support and things like that. But like when it's crazy, like once you start doing good for a while, what's the things we tell ourselves? We deserve a night out. We should celebrate. We
Right.
should, and
Yep.
and then I found a heroin dealer in Green Bay, bro, and that was it. Within, I spent the better part of a year trying to get the place, get my car, get a good job, and within 2 or 3 weeks, I lost the job. Within 2 3 months, I was being evicted, and then I
You went backward.
yeah, absolutely, dude. And then like at this point, because it's been about 2 years since I got sentenced on that meth lab case or whatever. So that's why I was like, I'll just do heroin because I got in trouble for meth, And then I was, serving people, and somebody came by and they didn't have all the money for whatever they wanted, and he's like, well, I got
Right.
some of this. And it was meth, bro. And it was the first time I had seen meth in over 2 years. And I looked at my girl at the time, like, hey, do you want to do some, ice? And she's like, sure, But at this point, bro, I had never shot meth until this day. You know what I mean?
Wow.
But then,
Right.
so I whipped it up real quick, and I just remember, like, instantaneously, dude. Like, I was like, dude, I love this too much. And then, like, when it wore off, I looked at my girl at the time. I'm like, dude, we're in trouble. Like, I like that too much. We're fucking screwed. And then, but I had more, so we were straight. But you know how it goes, man. You
Right.
know,
You know yourself
I'm in
better
the
than
middle of an
anybody.
eviction. I got no job, no, I'm serving dope, and I'm about to be on the street. But I didn't care, dude, because like meth through the needle was the thing that I thought I was looking for my whole life, bro. You know what I mean? Like it literally took away all my bad thoughts, made everything cool, man. And then just like any other thing, it progressed to where it wasn't my solution. It was now my problem. And,
Right.
and then, I'm bouncing around from trap house to trap house. I'm in Brown County, just got off paper for cooking dope. I'm in, Shawano County in the middle of nowhere, whipping up dope in the middle of the woods and shit. Yeah.
Right.
And yeah, so I mean, I was back at it real quick, dude. And when I moved to Green Bay, I was like 285, bro. When I got arrested for the last time in 2016, bro, I was 159 pounds, dude. I
Wow.
was, yeah, like I was skin and bone, and and then like I just, even at that point, I didn't really want to change. I just was like focusing on like, getting out and getting high and just keep at it, keep doing what I was doing. And I remember then they walked in with their offer for 6 years in, 6 years out. And I was like, what I got caught with, there was no way I was doing 6 years for that. And I never even heard of like drug court or treatment court, and my lawyer at the time, he was like, what about drug court? What about treatment court? I'm like, I don't know what that is. He's like, and he goes, well, they'll let you out. And I'm like, yeah, sign me up. That's all I need to hear.
Oh, that's all I got to hear.
Yeah, I can get out. He's like, but listen, man, you got to do stuff to stay out. I'm like, yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll do
Right.
that.
You gotta call in, you gotta drop, you gotta do all kinds of shit.
Yeah, dude. Like, and so I did all the stuff, like I got denied my first time. The second time, because we can hustle anybody with our, what I mean, with our mouthpiece, dude, especially
Oh
when we're in
yeah.
active addiction. Yeah, dude, And so I convinced them to roll the dice on me, and they let me out, but I had warrants in another county, which is like Beloit, Janesville area. So it's like right on the state line. They came and got me. And then, I did my little 32 days there for shoplifting or
So
whatever.
they let
And,
you out and then they came and got you.
yeah.
Did they get you from the jail or they let you get released first?
No, they transported me. Yeah, I drove to Beloit
Yeah,
cuffed up.
hey,
And
they told you were getting released from there and then another
yeah,
facility
yeah. I
came
mean, I
to
knew
get
it was
you.
coming, dude. Yeah, like I've never, like back then, if I went to jail, I was going to 4 other jails before I was officially free. So
I know the situation. I'm like, yo, at least
yeah,
I'm out of this one, and I'm gonna go finish
yeah,
this one, and I'm gonna get done with that.
yeah, dude.
And
Yeah,
then you got to plan like a couple months ahead before you can actually start your freedom. You know what I mean? For the little time
absolutely.
being that
Yeah,
it's gonna
dude.
last.
I got 22 days here. I got 59 days here, and like, You know, it was like chapters of the worst book ever read. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I
just like
remember
this. Yeah,
my mom maxed a credit card to bail me out one time, and
yeah,
immediately after she came to pick me up, they were like, "Oh no, we got to transport him to Washera County." So I had to go to I had to go for child support, and I'm like, "Oh great, I just bailed out. Now I'm going for child support." And then they were
yeah,
like,
dude.
"Yeah, 30 to 45 days, and then we'll get it cleared up, and we'll let him out." So
Yeah, dude.
I know the
That's the worst.
feeling, man.
Dude, have you ever been in like the extradition van, the one that takes you across the country? Like,
So here's a funny story about that, right? So
yeah,
I got a funny story about that is there's a sergeant, Sergeant Selzar, and he transported me all over the state of Wisconsin, even
yeah,
outside of the state of Wisconsin. He came to pick me up on PO holds. In Illinois, he picked me up on a PO hold, and this dude has transported me all over. So the first time I got married, I invited him to my wedding. Because this is
oh,
how many times this dude transported me, and he's actually pretty cool, man. I was like, yo,
yeah,
because he would come get me, and he's just like, "Man, dude, what's up, man?" And he would actually like let me out of the transport van and smoke cigarettes and shit like that because
yeah,
he picked me up so many times. And
mhm,
he took me, it started with him transporting me to boot camp, prison boot camp when I
yeah,
went to prison when I was like 17. So
mhm,
he transported me from Milwaukee to the boot camp. And then I left, or actually from Racine. He took me from Sturtevant to the boot camp in St. Croix.
mhm,
And then
yeah,
excuse me, after I got out, I said, "Hey, I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna do good," and
mhm,
started getting in more trouble. So here he comes again, and I'm like, "Shit, what's
mhm,
up, man?" You know.
yeah,
And over the years, he ended up going through like a divorce or something. So we're at the bar together, and we're shooting pool, and we're just shooting the shit about all the dumb shit that I did, and how many times he had to pick me up. Because one time he had to pick me up, and I had lost my shoe when I was running from the police. So
mhm,
I had one shoe and I had one jail slipper. And he
mhm,
took me through all these counties and shit, and they're like, how
yeah,
they can't leave you in the van, so they gotta take you in with them when they pick
yeah,
someone else up. So I go in
yeah,
there with them, and they're like, "Where's his other shoe?" And he's telling his story like, "Yeah, his dumbass was running through the snow and he lost his shoe."
yep,
So but yeah, man, I definitely know the extradition vans very
yep,
well.
yeah, fucking hamburger Happy Meal, no toy. That's what they give you
Yep,
the whole
you know
rip.
what I mean?
Yeah,
That's about all you get, and, we can order a bunch of cheeseburgers and feed them, and they good, you know?
yeah, yeah. No, yeah, I forget why I even asked you that, but no, like, yeah, the last time I was in the extradition van, I had to go from Minnesota to Wisconsin, dude, and then they went to Montana, and then they went to Texas, and then they went to like, you know what I mean? Because that's, they
Right.
get paid like 5 grand a pickup, you know what I mean? So they're gonna make
Yep.
you wait, and
Oh,
then
yeah, and it sucks when you're the first one that gets picked up.
hell yeah,
You're
and
the
I
first
was
one to get picked up, you're just traveling with them.
yeah, yeah. Like, because I had never been in one before, and then I'm like, oh, I'll be in Wisconsin in a day.
In
No,
no
it was like
time.
19 days later, dude. Like, I've never been so relieved to be in a jail in my whole life, bro. You know what I mean? Because like I was literally like sitting like this. One dude got sick. He was dope sick, and it was hot, bro. And he was just like, wow. And I'm like, oh, dude, come on, man. So they
Yep.
had to like stop, put us in some jail nearby, so they could clean out the van and shit, and then like they didn't feed us, so we almost went a whole day without food. But
Man, I
yeah, man.
remember speaking of, like, transport, so when I went to Sturtevant when I was younger, I ended up getting transferred to Oklahoma because that was back when Wisconsin still had a contract with Oklahoma, and they had a
Yeah,
contract they had a contract with Texas. And before they lost those contracts, they were just shipping inmates all over. And
yeah,
we had to go down to Oklahoma, and we stopped in this town where they were just so prejudiced that they wouldn't allow blacks into the jail. So
yeah,
we had to sleep on the bus. Like, we slept on the bus, and that shit was so uncomfortable, and we were shackled, you know what I mean? So I'm, like, trying to
yeah,
sleep while I'm shackled, and, it was like, "Yo, man, like, y'all, if they're not letting you sleep in there and they're not letting us sleep in there, we're in the same boat right now." You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
you could at least
for
put the
sure.
handcuffs in front, you know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
but yeah, that was, like, my first experience when I was probably about 18 years old, and,
Yeah,
I was like, "Yo, this shit ain't for me." I'm like, so
yeah,
when I actually went to prison, I started thinking I was gonna start writing, kids songs and shit, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like
for
Kumbaya. I'm
sure.
like, I'm like, I'm gonna be a children's writer. You know, I was like, this shit ain't for me, man. I miss my mom, I miss my family. And
Yeah.
so how did that make you feel, man? That you know, you went through all these trials and tribulations. And when was it that it clicked that you was like, yo, this shit ain't for me?
Dude, all right. It's so I'm in drug court, right? I got all this stuff behind me, dude, and I had 43 days clean or some shit, right? And at the time I was living with this girl, you know, like we met in active addiction or whatever, and she was still using, you know. I'm like, well, it's not fair to her. I got in trouble, blah, 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 blah. You know, but
Mhm.
she was like, she was very abusive, like, and I mean, she was beating the hell out of me. You know what I mean? I was a battered spouse, and I talk about this openly now, but for a long time because I was a dude, you know what I mean? Like, it was real hard
Hey,
for
but
me
that
to
shit
like,
happens both ways. Yeah, you're right.
yeah,
That
man.
happens both ways.
Like I went to IOP and I had like defense wounds, you know, from her nails. And my
Mhm.
counselor slid a domestic violence pamphlet. He's like, does this sound like anybody you know? And I'm reading the checklist, and the only one that didn't apply to me was like being pregnant. There was something about being pregnant, you know.
Right.
And I'm like, but
It's like
everything else, I was
everything's
like, damn,
me.
dude, I'm a battered spouse, bro. Like, you know what I mean? So and you know, I was real proud of myself because I made it through Christmas. I made it through, you know, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, you
Mhm.
know. And on January 2nd, she, you know, everything just boiled over, dude. And I went to my UA for drug court that morning, and I was like, fuck it. I don't want to do this shit no more. I can't be with her. You know what I mean? So but I'm just gonna go to prison and say, fuck it, dude. You know, but I'm like, I'm not gonna be sober while I do it. You know what I mean? And
Right, right.
so I went and I relapsed, dude, January 2nd, you know, and then January 3rd, you know, I'm high. I'm supposed to be an intensive outpatient, you know, my treatment. And I was so, what's the word I'm looking for? Inebriated or whatever, high, that
Yep.
I went to pull over to call my counselor, dude, and tell her I wasn't going to be in, you know, and I'm telling her some bullshit.
Right.
And what I didn't even realize is I was in the parking lot of the treatment center. And I'm on the phone with her, like, yeah, I'm at home. I don't feel good, blah, blah, blah. She's like, dude, I can see you in the parking lot, bro. I'm looking at you.
They're out
I'm
there
like,
on the
oh, shit.
phone.
Yeah, dude. So you know, and I got no license at the time. So I skated out of there. I drove away, and I don't even make it a block. My PO is calling me and shit. And, you know, my PO, coolest lady ever, dude. She was very understanding. She's like, listen, dude, because you're a runner and all you know, if you don't turn yourself in, we're going to revoke you and send you to prison. I'm like, I'm not coming in today. I promise I'll be there tomorrow for court. And I'm too high to sit in a little room right now. I'm just going to go find a place to chill and let this wear off. She's like, okay, but if you don't come in tomorrow, I can't help you. So I got off the phone. I calmed down a little bit. You know, I tried to sleep. I slept for like, you know, 20 minutes or whatever. But
Right.
and then I went into I went into my court that day, and I'm looking around and I didn't see any sheriffs, you know, and I walk up to the table and tell the judge that I relapsed, and he's like, well, you know, since you were honest, we're not going to terminate you from the program, but we are going to put you in jail for a week. I'm like, and
Right.
then all of a sudden here's 3 sheriffs. I'm like, oh shit, all right, you know, whatever. And because
Surprise.
yeah, but because it was so tense between me and the girl I was living with at the time, dude, it was a relief. It was welcomed. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah,
Right.
man, I can sleep. Woo woo. And so they wanted to put me on GPS monitoring the next, you know, when I got out, you know, because of my flight risk and shit. And so I'm down there getting my bracelet on, and they're getting ready to release me in the morning. And I'm walking back, and one of my buddies was at church or something, you know, like,
Mhm.
you know, jail church. And it was a dude I used to rip and run with. Like, dude, me and him, like, used to do hella dirt and whatever. And I just see him in the hallway, bro. And I'm like, what's up, bro? He's like, dude, he goes, dude, I just got 20 years in the feds, bro. And I set up my plug, dude. I bought 7 pounds off him, and they still gave me
Wow.
20 years. He's like, so I'm going to the Fed joint and informant. And I'm like, damn, bro. And he goes, dude, I need you to listen to me. I'm like, what's that? He goes, this shit isn't for you, bro. Get out the game, dude. There's this, otherwise you're gonna wind up like me. And I'm like, all right, man, whatever, you know. And I go back to my unit. It's about 8:30, 8:35 in Brown County Jail. And all of a sudden they're like, everybody locked down. Everybody locked down. So we're locked down. We wake up in the morning, bro, and they're not letting us out of our cells, which is super weird. I'm like, what's going on? And the CO, he's handing me my tray or whatever, and he's like, McConaughey and Charlie Pod hung himself. That's the guy I saw in the hallway. you know?
Right.
Like, so, and then I'm sitting there, I'm like, bro, was that the last thing he said to anybody? Were those his last words? Were they to me about getting out the game, dude? And I'm sitting there like, I'm about to get released back into the free world, dude. And I'm looking at my little raggedy tray. You know, I'm looking around the beige walls in the jail. I'm listening to my cellie talk about what a big baller he is while he's asking me for a soup and shit. And I'm like, and I'm just looking around, bro. And I go, dude, this is my story ain't going out. I'm not going out like this, bro. I'm not dying in here. You know, I'm
Man.
not dying with, my arm and shit. And I got out and I went, I went and checked in with my probation. I went to a meeting and there's this lady, Cassie, dude. She's my guardian angel, bro. Like, I was so guilty. I felt so ashamed, because I gave my mom and my son and all my family 42 days of hope. You know what I mean? I let them down again, because like they actually like believed in me, and then I let everybody down, So I'm actually at this point, I'm thinking about like just calling my dope man and just doing away with myself. The world's better off without me. I'm getting my ass kicked at home by this girl, and I'm never going to get sober. And this lady must have seen me on the phone, what I was doing. And I went to get up to go meet my plug in the parking lot of a 12-step meeting, mind you. And
Oh, wow.
she goes like this and tells me to sit down. And I'm like, yes, ma'am, and the meeting adjourns and she's like, hey, I haven't seen you around for about a week. Everything all right? I'm like, yeah, I fell off. She goes, it's going to be okay. Just keep coming back, dude. And she gave me a hug, right? And I just remember, dude, that hug, like I needed that hug so bad, bro. Like I started crying and shit. And she's like, just keep coming back. You're going to be okay. And like, dude, for some reason, when she said that to me and when she hugged me like that, dude, I really felt like I was going to be okay for the first time in a long time, like, because I was worried about walking into the meeting and being judged by everybody. Nobody cared. They just
Right.
wanted me to be okay and shit. And like when you come from where we come from, dude, and do what we've been doing, everybody wants to get over on you. Everybody wants to take advantage of you. You know what I mean? Like it's a grimy arena, dude. And like for someone to show me unconditional love who didn't know me and tell me everything was going to be okay to the point where I actually believed it. And I knew she had no motive, no agenda. She just wanted me to, get sober and live. So after that, man, I was all in, dude. I pushed everything in the middle of the table, dude. I was just like, nope. All right. So I started going to meetings, and I used to go to meetings all the time because they were mandatory, but I never spoke. I didn't say a
Right.
word. Here, will you sign this form? I went and got a sponsor. I started doing all the things. I started like working more. I started participating in my own rescue. You know what I mean? And like, I took it seriously because it's like, for some reason, when that dude hung himself, it like, I just was
Something
like, there's no way.
resonated with you. Something
Yeah,
resonated
man.
with you like, yo, I matter. And
Yeah, dude. Like, yeah, I'm not.
nobody else really gives a shit if you don't. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, dude. Yeah, like so. Yeah, and I started believing in myself. I started like slowly like gaining momentum. Like I started going to the gym, and I started like eliminating bad toxic habits and traits with new things. And it was a lot of trial and error. You know what I mean? And then like
Right.
I fled from that lady I was living with. Like, I just put what I could in a duffel bag, and this was like, she tried to murder me in the morning of her daughter's communion, which is another story for another time. But long story
Hey,
short,
brother, I tell you what, like, so what we're gonna do is because me and you can go on for hours, brother. And
yeah,
because I love talking to you every chance we get. For the audience that doesn't know, you know what I'm saying? I've had the opportunity to brush shoulders with this brother, you know what I'm saying, on multiple occasions. And
yeah,
his story is just phenomenal. And we're gonna get a chance to share that story, but we don't have much time today. But what we're gonna
mhm.
do is I'm gonna write this down for a part two, brother. So I'm gonna write
All
down
right,
where we're leaving off, and we
all
gonna
right,
do another segment. You know what I'm saying, so that they can get
yeah,
another
man,
taste of Matt Traver. You know what I mean?
absolutely, dude. I'm,
But I
I'm
want
here
to tell
for
you
it.
today, brother. You know what I'm saying? I salute you in more ways than one, brother. You know what I'm saying? Because your story is is saving lives, man. What you're doing with Never Give Up and everything that you do to give people hope, brother, you are definitely changing the world, man, because people are seeing you on platforms that are not just local. You know what I mean? Like me
Mhm.
personally, I didn't even know that you were way over in Pennsylvania, man, until you told me. I was like, bro,
Yeah,
I see you here so much, putting in so
yeah,
much work that I thought you were here,
yeah,
So,
yeah.
but
No,
yeah,
man, yeah,
man,
that's
I want to
that's
thank
one
you,
of the
man, for go ahead, go ahead.
no, and that's one of the things about recovery, bro. Like, dude, why I'm so grateful for it. And like usually when I give a spiel or give a speech or whatever, I always talk about one thing I'm grateful for and one thing I'm struggling with, dude. And like just the gratitude list that I have today, like, now that I'm in Pennsylvania, dude, like recovery and the things I've been able to do, the people I've been able to meet, and like just my life today, bro. Like everyone asks me what I do in Pennsylvania, and I'm like, dude, I'm at peace, bro. You know what I mean? For the first time, and I don't think ever, you know what I mean? I'm truly like at peace, bro. I'm content. I'm like enjoying life. Like everything's slowed down finally, and I'm just grateful for it. I still have my struggles. I struggle with insecurities and my weight and things like that. But you know what I mean? Like life is beautiful today, man, for real, dude. And it's all
Shit, bro,
because of
your weight
recovery.
might be in the gym. Like I see you in the gym all the time. Like, you know what I'm
Yeah, but
saying?
I
You
eat
ain't
like
working,
shit,
you in the
dude.
gym. So,
Yeah, yeah,
and I've seen,
yeah,
I've seen,
dude.
I've seen this brother in person. Don't let him fool you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like, bro is
yeah,
ripped. You know what I'm saying? So don't get
yeah.
it
No,
twisted.
it's like, yeah, no, like, dude, it's crazy. Like, if I didn't work out, dude, I'd be like 350, dude, and a full blown diabetic, dude. Because like I eat like in this cabinet right here, there's like 3 different kinds of moon pies and shit. Like,
Gotta
yeah,
keep the snacks, bro. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
But you gotta do it with moderation. You know what I'm saying? Which is
absolutely,
how we
yeah.
live life, today, man, with moderation. So if you can leave the audience with something inspirational and powerful, brother, what would it be?
Like, let's see, I didn't know you were gonna put me on the spot, but yeah, man, like, just there's a million reasons not to do something, bro. You know what I mean? Like, but you just got to find that one reason and cling on to that, dude, like a life preserver, like a rope, and you're sinking in quicksand, dude. There's always we can talk ourselves out of so many positive things because like when we're addicts or we struggle with mental health or we've been in abusive relationships or things like that, you know, our self-worth is swayed and skewed and we don't believe in ourselves, dude. But like just find that one reason, dude, and find that one person who truly believes in you, dude. It doesn't have to be a boyfriend or a girlfriend. It just has to be another human being who sees in you what you can't see in yourself, bro. You know what I mean? Because that's what it took for me. Because like I eliminated all the toxic people, all the people, like for so long, I toyed with the notion of getting clean, right? And it took that one person who truly convinced me that I was going to get clean and sober to do so. So find that person, find your cheerleaders, find your support circle, dude. And it's going to be messy, it's going to be uncomfortable, and some days it's just going to be downright terrible, but it's going to be worth it, bro. And you got to ask yourself this, bro. Is today day one or is today one day? You know what I mean? Like, are you going
There
to
you go.
finally sift through your own bullshit and stop talking yourself out of stuff and get to it? It's today the first day of the rest of your life because, I heard this quote somewhere, bro. We live 2 lives. The first life we live is the one where we think we're going to live forever. And the second life we live is when we realize we're not. You know what I mean? And you're
Right.
like, yeah,
And I
dude.
got
And
too
that's
much,
like,
I got too much shit on the line that I gotta get done
yeah,
now
bro.
because I
Yeah,
ain't gonna
man.
be
Like,
around to keep doing it.
that's right,
I
bro.
love it.
So,
I love it,
yeah,
brother.
find your purpose, dude. Take all that pain, all those trials, tribulations, dude. If you're like me, there's no scientific reason you should be here. Like I've done enough dope to kill an elephant. And for some reason, God spared me, dude. And I feel that I have a purpose on this planet and I feel like I know what it is. So take all that pain, all that hurt, use it to find your purpose, bro. And then, because we're addicts, bro, we suck at moderation. So once you find your purpose, dude, push all your chips to the table and go all in, bro.
That's right. Y'all heard it. That's my boy, Matt Traver. Hey, man, I really appreciate you for taking the time out of your day, man, to chop it up with me on the Real Chat podcast. And
Man,
y'all beware for part 2 because it's definitely coming. So I
man.
appreciate you, brother.
Thanks,
Thank
bro.
you.
Appreciate you having me, dude.